Hi guys, welcome to our channel. Here we share the experiences of people from around the world who have had near-death experiences. Please support us by sharing our videos and help spread awareness to your friends so they can appreciate the opportunities in life more. We hope this channel brings light, hope, and love to all of us. Thank you to everyone who supports us on this journey. In 1994, I was running 2 jewelry operations and participating in about 35 trade shows a year. One of the biggest shows was in Tucson, Arizona. It was the highlight of the year, but it was also a hotspot for viruses. That particular year, a severe virus or bacterial infection swept through the show. People were falling ill left and right, and medical officials were baffled. By the 3rd day, I became seriously ill. I was sweating profusely, and my throat swelled up terribly. That night, I distinctly remember hearing myself take what I thought was my last breath. I left my body surrounded by a beautiful, fluorescent, glowing mist. I experienced a feeling like never before and thought to myself, I'm home. I'm finally home. My name is Bill Torella. This is my story. In Brooklyn, New York, my mom owned a bar and grill across the street from Ebbets Field, where the Brooklyn Dodgers used to play. It was quite amazing growing up there. I remember attending the pennant games with the Dodgers playing against the Yankees, particularly in 1956. Mickey Mantle stepped up to bat and hit a home run for the Yankees, his 3rd in that year's series. It was an incredible experience. As a child, I was an artist. I studied commercial art and illustration, graduating from art and design in New York. I worked for Triad Studios and did commercial art for BBDO, the biggest ad agency in New York City at the time. I thought that would be my career for the rest of my life, but life had other plans. In 1973, I got married and moved to Florida. My dad used to tell stories about Miami, conventions under the palm trees, the blue water. I imagined Miami as a big city. While it is a big city now, it wasn't quite so in 1973. Back then, the Miami skyline had maybe a few tall buildings. There were only 4 big buildings in the Miami skyline back then, and to my dismay, I couldn't find any ad agencies or a job in my field. That's when I started searching for a new opportunity. I saw an ad in the Miami Herald for emergency medical technicians. The county was in dire need of help because many people were retiring to South Florida at the time. They even offered to pay me to go to school and work on the units as an attendant alongside 2 paramedics. I worked during the day and attended school at night until I earned my qualifications, or badges as I called them. For years, I worked as a paramedic, responding to emergencies, dealing with injuries, and often facing death. The constant exposure to trauma took a toll on my psyche, and I was eventually diagnosed with PTSD. I realized I needed a change. I left my career as a paramedic and, almost by chance, started a business selling jewelry. This opportunity fell into my hands when a friend, who was a Teamsters driver, introduced me to these things called seconds, boxes of jewelry with minor imperfections. Seconds were items where the jewelry wasn't too badly damaged. One week at a big flea market, I decided to give it a try. I bought 2 4x8 tables and a pop-up tent. In just 2 days, I made $2,800 from items that cost me less than $200. I quickly realized I had found a new career. Fast forward to 1994, and I had 2 jewelry operations running in South Florida, one in Pompano Beach and one in Fort Lauderdale. I was doing about 35 trade shows a year. The biggest show of the year was in Tucson, Arizona. Every year we attended this show, but there were always a lot of viruses going around. That year, a particularly severe virus or bacterial infection spread through the event. People started getting sick left and right, and the medical officials were stumped. By the 3rd day of the show, the lady across the booth from me collapsed. Paramedics rushed in, and although I was still feeling fine, I went over to check on her. However, that night, I started to feel incredibly sick. I was sweating profusely, and my throat began to swell alarmingly. They took one look at me and said, "Bill, you need to get to the hospital." They hooked me up with an IV, and after bringing my oxygen levels back up and administering a couple of bags of antibiotics, they said, "Your oxygen levels are good now. You can go back to your hotel, but go directly to the hospital in the morning if you wake up feeling the same way." That night, back in my hotel room, I physically remember hearing myself take what I thought was my last breath. I left my body and found myself in a beautiful fluorescent glowing mist, hovering over my own body and looking down at myself. When I recognized that my body wasn't alive anymore, a bright beam of light appeared behind me, illuminating everything below and drawing me into a gateway, a beautiful tunnel of magnificent colors. As I moved through the tunnel, I felt an amazing sensation, a feeling of love so incredible that I became the love itself. Surrounded by this light, I experienced an overwhelming sense of peace and belonging, unlike anything I had ever felt before. Part of this light. I moved at what seemed like the speed of light, with beautiful colors whizzing past and through me. The love I felt grew stronger and stronger. By the time I reached my destination, I distinctly remember saying, "I'm home, I'm finally home." I heard a soft voice speak to me saying, "Yes, Bill, you're home in the light of God." She introduced herself as Antonia, one of my guardians. I was then greeted by spirits all around me, family and friends I remembered, mingling, talking, and emanating love. We recognized each other, and everything was communicated through telepathy. There were no mouths or bodies, just beams of light. I was still a mist at this time. After what seemed like a few minutes, I heard a familiar voice say, "Hello, Billy." It was my brother's voice. My brother Peter, who was about 16 years older than me. He had been around when I was growing up, and hearing his voice brought an immense sense of comfort and recognition. Peter was always there for me growing up, teaching me how to play ball and taking me to my games in the baseball leagues. He was a wonderful brother. It devastated me when he was diagnosed with liver cancer and given only 4 or 5 months to live. In the light, when I heard him say, "Hello, Billy," I knew it was him. Although I was in my 40s and everyone called me Bill, I was always Billy to him. I turned around and said, "Peter," and the embrace that followed was indescribable. It felt like we were part of each other. Peter explained that he needed to take me somewhere for my life review. I didn't know what that was, but hearing him speak brought back my sense of my earthly life. He took me to another level where they began showing me all the good I had done. It was an amazing experience, filled with profound insights and emotions. They showed me all the good I had done in my life, but also all the wrongs. Thankfully, I never felt like I had done anything truly terrible, but I didn't realize the hurt I had caused some people. In that moment, I felt the pain I had inflicted on others. I became the physical embodiment of their pain. Though I had no physical body, I felt the tears and the mounting sorrow. It became overwhelming and I cried out, "I can't take it anymore. Please forgive me. I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Suddenly a light appeared and said, "Now we'll show you the good side." Thank God I had done a lot of good in my life, especially during my years as a paramedic, trying to save lives and help people in every way possible. That's when I truly understood our purpose, to be of service and help one another because we are all connected. Until that moment, I had been a business person, focused solely on my career. I hadn't thought much beyond that. But this experience profoundly changed my perspective, revealing the deeper meaning of our existence. I returned home from the show with an appointment scheduled at QVC, which was my life at the time. I hadn't given much thought to deeper meanings or connections. Then Peter said to me, "Your third guardian is coming." A man of great age and wisdom approached, and I immediately recognized him. He had been the voice that always spoke to me, the intuition that kept me out of trouble while many of my friends were getting into it. He was the guiding presence in my life, the one who whispered in my ear, "That's not the right thing to do." As he joined us, Antonia said, "Look at yourself." I looked down and saw that I had transformed into a magnificent beam of light, just like the other spirits. I was now a beautiful beam, back in spirit form, feeling that complete, all-encompassing love. In the spirit world, you're always connected to everyone around you, immersed in love. The three of them, Peter, Antonia, and my third guardian, then took me to a final level, continuing this profound and transformative journey. They took me to what I believe was a final level, almost like a panel. I stood before magnificent, beautiful angels. They explained that I was about to receive wisdom and knowledge through these angels. Suddenly, I was bombarded with different thoughts and visions. Angels would approach me, and I would see the universe, combustion, and nebulas being created. I understood that we all come from stardust in some form. Another angel approached me, and I saw floating lines and numbers illuminated with light. Certain numbers, the 1, the 3, the 6, the 8, and the 9, kept lighting up brilliantly. The angels explained that these numbers were fundamental. They told me that without these numbers we wouldn't have our tides, our seasons, or even our existence on Earth. These numbers, they said, are the building blocks of everything. Another angel approached me and said, "You must return." Despite feeling complete love, I pleaded desperately, "No, please don't send me back." But she insisted firmly, "You must return." I did everything I could to resist, but suddenly I was being pulled back through a vortex, accelerating faster and faster. As I returned to my body, I began to feel pain. It was intense, and I couldn't move my arms or legs. I waited anxiously, and after what felt like an eternity, I started to feel tingling sensations spreading through my body, gradually gaining enough strength to reach for the phone. I managed to call for help, terrified and in excruciating pain. I kept quiet about what had happened because I knew others would think I was crazy. In those days, you simply didn't talk about experiences like mine. I'd never heard of a near-death experience before, and it wasn't until I saw my doctor after returning home that I learned about it. He listened as I explained what had happened to me, and then he gently told me, "Bill, I think what you experienced was a near-death experience." He gave me some reading materials to help me understand better. But it was something else he said that stuck with me. He said, "Bill Torella, many of us may hope to find God in our lifetime. You were lucky enough to meet him." Since that experience, I have lost all fear of dying. I see death as a welcome homecoming. I know where I live and I know where I will return. This life, I understand now, is temporary, a place where we come to learn. Learning to feel emotions is a crucial part of our journey here, something we don't experience the same way on the other side. Over there, it's all about complete love and service, a unified and whole experience. On the other side, there's no pain, sadness, or sorrow. None of those human emotions exist. There's no selfishness either. It's all about love and service. The feelings of love and service there are so overwhelming, they surpass anything we can conceive of here by hundreds of times. This life is just a temporary abode, where we inhabit these physical bodies. But who we truly are is beautiful beams of light, connected with the spirits of the universe. When we return there someday, we'll recognize it as home. We'll be surrounded by family and friends who will instantly recognize. We travel in spirit circles with our loved ones. Antonia brought me into this world and she was there to guide me out. Peter was the angel who helped me whenever I called on God for assistance, always by my side. Oren was ever present, guiding me whenever I needed clarity or direction. In that realm, I met beings who were magnificent beams of light, emanating knowledge and wisdom. Being there felt like being truly home. Here is not our permanent residence. We live eternally, where nothing ages and everything is perpetually new. The love there is so intense that it's almost like being enveloped in an addictive euphoria, unlike anything I could ever describe in earthly terms. Our purpose there is love. As babies, we are pure love, still connected to the other side. Learning to feel that love again in this challenging world is difficult. Things move quickly, and it's easy to lose sight of what's essential. Love and service are perhaps the most critical lessons to learn here, to embody and share them with others. Returning from that experience, I realized the greatest fulfillment in my life came from my time as a paramedic, serving and helping others daily. It underscored the importance of selflessness and compassion in our journey here. I realized that I had never truly helped people as much as I did after my near-death experience. I became dedicated to assisting others in any way I could, whether it was aiding someone struggling on the street or giving everything I had to support those in need. I learned that true giving is not about receiving in return. It's about selflessly offering what you can. The fortune of love we receive in return is the greatest gift we can all share. If you found this message meaningful, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing to spread the message of love and compassion further. Thank you for joining me on this journey.